The quorum is present. The meeting has been duly constituted, and the first order of business is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion, please? Thank you. And the second discussion. Pam, looks like you have something to add.
I'm adding something under section 8, reports from staff A. It'll become 8A2, approval of financial statements.
8A.
8AII.
I'm looking at the wrong one. Lost the thing.
Just have that little pen.
Paper.
Okay. I should have probably asked you this already, Peter. Do we need to make a resolution to excuse Councillor Hughes' medical absence, given our council procedures bylaw that requires councillors to attend 3 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings? Just provisional, just in case. If it's not needed,
he was here the last meeting.
but I could see that he may miss 3 now with his convalescence.
Is it 3 and then
3 and you're out.
is it 4th? Is it the 4th one
I
that
don't know.
is the trigger?
But
I'm not
they
sure.
say unless it's for medical reasons.
But I still think he has to be excused.
Yeah, oh, it can't hurt to pass.
So
a
it can't
motion.
hurt, right? So,
yeah. Might
so
as
can
well
we do
follow
that?
Thinking of it.
Where do we want to do that? New business? Resolutions. Okay, so I'd like to add 9A, excusing Councillor Hughes from meeting attendance. We'll talk about the details when we get there. Anything else? Okay. Approve of the agenda. All in favour?
This is on here somewhere?
We're going to do that in yellow section.
So
In closed.
Oh, okay.
we probably need to add grounds then.
Oh yes, thank you. Sorry. So closing the meeting under 91B as well.
No, 92B.
Oh, 92B, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so those 3 changes, everybody good with them? You want to hear them again? No?
It's
All in-
92B, you said?
Yeah.
90.2B, yeah. Or 90 bracket.
To be or not to be?
Or which is it?
It's to be.
Or not?
It is.
Okay. Enough classical references. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Next on the agenda, public participation. Are you public participating, Mr. Ando, or are you delegation? Only. Okay, you're up. Welcome, as always.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. First, I want to clarify why I'm here. It's not my intention to embarrass or chastise anyone. My only intention is to ensure that the best interests of the village are being addressed by council and staff. During my term on council and as chair of the infrastructure committee, I and others on the committee pushed for an infrastructure master plan that researched specific ideas and possible solutions for water, sewer, drainage, and roads. At every discussion, we were opposed by the former Public Works manager advising that by not specifying our ideas would lead to new and innovative ideas that we hadn't considered. I believe the IMP should provide the village a framework to move forward with infrastructure. It should provide a background, potential options, analysis, and recommendations for a solution for this village to either maintain or improve the infrastructure. Staff's direction and the shortfall of version C of the infrastructure master plan can be summed up as early as Monday, September 14th infrastructure committee meeting minutes. In October 2014, in October 2014, the infrastructure committee submitted a detailed list of requirements to council that should be considered in an infrastructure master plan. These requirements were not included in our RFP in detail, bracket. We issued an RFP instead of RFQ, close bracket. But instead, general requirements were given to provide as much leeway as possible for the winning proponent to come up with a creative solution to our issues. However, the committee was concerned that we were going to get a list of items that we can easily do ourselves. For example, catalog potholes, instead of critical infrastructure analysis and creative solutions that we are not skilled at doing ourselves. To clarify our expectations, we provided the October 24th list as a requirement to James as an example of the nature of deliverables that we are expecting. At the 5-year plan presentation, Mayor Burr explained and dismissed some of the options for water. These, I believe, should be included in the IMP report with footnotes that document referring to the 2006 water reports, etc. So, I have reviewed the written correspondence between former Public Works Manager and AECOM, and I have the following observations, concerns, and questions. I am relieved to note that the former Public Works Manager formally advised AECOM that the village cannot accept AECOM's report and that the village's internal costs to review the report should be reimbursed by AECOM. In Public Works Manager's letter, default in performance requiring correction, she noted that the report was originally due on November the 12th, 2015, and was received on January 21st, 4 days after it was due. Her letter has 2 key points that are worth noting. Per section 20.1 of our agreement, AECOM is in default of performance, which must be remedied to the village's satisfaction. This satisfaction hinges upon replacement of the report provided with an infrastructure master plan that is accurate, reflects the standards of quality control reasonably expected of an infrastructure master plan that is accurate.
Mr. Lang.
That an engineering firm that introduced itself as offering unparalleled level of technical expertise and will not require an inordinate amount of village staff time to act as an internal reviewer of AECOM. And number 2, should AECOM fail to so provide, per section 20.1.3 of our agreement, the village will purchase and or replace the services in question on the open market, and AECOM shall reimburse the village for all extra costs and expenses incurred to purchase and or replace such services, the village internal costs and delays. I've taken the time to go over and to try and figure out what's happened and when things happen. So on July the 13th, 2015, the Infrastructure Committee meeting, the IC recommends to Council accept AECOM's proposal. On July 21st, at the Council meeting, Council approves the contract with AECOM. On September the 14th, at the IC meeting, James Brotherson attended, provided a pothole inventory, and advised that they are behind, but the time can be made up. IC clarifies their expectations, discussed and provided the 2014 IC recommendations that were presented to Council. So missing from that meeting on September the 14th was AECOM should have provided water, sanitary, stormwater, and road and bridge assessment summaries. That was specified in the contract between the village and AECOM. On October 13th, 2015, at the IC meeting, James Brotherson was a no-show to the meeting, and it was last minute. There was no report provided for the Infrastructure Committee. The interim CAO and Yansu was to follow up. No report followed. So on October the 9th, AECOM should have provided the draft Infrastructure Master Plan as per our contract. Table 6.2, important milestones. So this is table 6.2 of the contract on October 9th, 2015. Submission of draft of infrastructure master plan. The draft actually didn't come until it was the final report on January the 23rd. On November the 9th, at the IC meeting, James Brotherson attended. I also attended that meeting, and he provided his progress chart. So this was the kind of documentation that we received. It wasn't a draft master plan that we should have reviewed and provided feedback. This is what he provided during his, which would have been his second or third presentation to council. Sorry, to the IC. Instead, we get these charts rather than a draft infrastructure master plan. At that time, I also questioned, I had questions on turbidity, and I also had questions on investigating the alternate, whether alternate locations for the weirs would be investigated. And he said that he would look into that, pending some consultation with staff. On December the 14th, the IC meeting, it was noted in the minutes that the final IMP would be a few weeks late, and the date was set for January the 14th, 2016. The IC recapped the main goal of water is to plan to deal with the overall supply issue, safety, quality, and reliability. So, part of what I'm missing and I don't quite understand is how we got from there to now. The report was received on the 21st. That was version C. 4 days later, version D came. Nikki said in her report that it was reviewed by the IC, but actually that report was never formally given, or I don't think that the IC had time to review version D, although parts of it was discussed. Mainly the people were discussing version C, which was provided to the IC prior to that meeting. I don't know how we extended out to, hopefully we received the report on April the 29th, last Friday, and I can't figure out how it got extended to be that long. It's almost, well, from the 21st to now is 3 months late, later than what we had expected. My questions for specifically are, did the village receive the final infrastructure master plan from AECOM on Friday, April the 29th?
Yes.
Yes. Is it available for residents to review?
The intent is for the IC to review it first at their upcoming meeting
Okay.
on next week, and to receive their recommendations. Well, they'll make recommendations, I presume, to council.
Correct.
So, but it will come forward.
So when would residents be given an opportunity? Are we only able to come to council when it's presented to council, or are we able to review a draft of, or review a copy of the master plan prior to it?
It'll be in the IC,
in the IC
IC agenda package.
Yeah.
It will be, okay.
Yeah.
So I will. look
Is it
forward to
already? Or?
I haven't started anything
Well,
yet,
that's
but
where we
it'll
go
be
anyhow.
out on, if they put it in, then it'll be out on Friday.
Is the IC not 2 Mondays hence?
Oh, I thought it was the second
Maybe it is.
Monday.
Is the second? Okay, so it's this coming
I
Monday.
think it's the 9th,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Friday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'd also like to know, second question is, why did the village accept further delays in providing the final IMP report? So, don't need an answer for that one now, but I'd like to try and get a good grasp, because there's a big gap and I can't understand whether 2.5 to 3 months, why it happened, well, why we allowed it to happen. And I know why it happened, because the infrastructure master plan was deficient and they were working on it, but I don't know why we allowed it to happen when all these other problems had existed. So, do we only have 5 days to accept or reject the report? Because, you know, when Nikki went through it, when she received it on the 21st, she said that she had to provide some kind of response to the report within 5 days. And I'm wondering whether or not we still only have 5 days to review the report.
Every time they deliver a new try?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if we don't reject it within 5 days, then does that stop our ability to reject the report? That really concerns me.
Can you address that one, Peter?
I would want to just double
Check
check
the
the
contract.
contract, but I don't think so.
Okay, so, and then, so if it's yes, then my question would be, would it not have been prudent to negotiate a longer review time when we provided them with a number of or multiple extensions? Question 4, per former Public Works Manager's email titled Heads Up, does the village have a record of all the internal costs incurred to go through the report? Was she documenting her hours? I see that there's some emails from Will. Was his hours documented when he talked to Geo, whoever, the water
Geo Advice,
guys?
yeah.
You know, are all those hours and the time spent, because she did give them a heads up that we were going to charge back those costs. And so has AECom, so 4A would be, has AECom been advised of those costs? And then 4B would be, will these costs be reimbursed or deducted should we accept and be liable to pay for the infrastructure master plan? With regards to Plan C, or the Draft C, which is the only one that I have, with regards to filtration, the 2008 Earth Tech report states that the village at that time met filtration avoidance due to 2 turbidity incidents greater than, or less than, 2 turbidity incidents of greater than 5.0 NTUs in a 12-month period. Please confirm that if the village shuts down the treatment plant before the turbidity reaches 5.0, that it is still in compliance with filtration avoidance. So these are the kind of technical questions that I don't think that, you know, I should be asking staff. These are the kind of technical questions that I think should be in the report, which I also brought up when AECom was in the IC meeting, and to date I haven't been able to find or answer those questions. That's part of the problem. So number 6, in Nikki's email titled Infrastructure Master Plan Project Handover to Nancy Hill, the email mentioned that she can hand over a complete marked up copy. Does the village have a copy of the complete marked up copy? That's the question.
Marked a copy of what, Scott?
Of version C or D, whichever she marked up.
Oh,
whether
yes.
she only gave the only copy that she marked up to AECom. So I would hope that the village still maintains a copy of all of the work that she did to mark up that copy. So in the minutes, that's probably done that.
You can rattle through to the end here.
Okay, so, so I have a number of concerns with regards to the previous one, and maybe I'll save that part of it for when the infrastructure master plan I'm able to see what the final version is, and if there's my concerns are still there, then I'll bring those back to council. I'll just briefly tell you what part of the problem that I had with the past one was that some of the words were vague and nebulous. For example, the average annual consumption at the village has varied significantly over previous several years. However, it has generally trended downwards. Well, generally trended downwards doesn't mean very much. And is that their professional opinion? What does it mean? I mean, does this mean that the repairs to our leaks was not the cause of all the water that we were losing? So, language is very important, and the way that they say it is very important. And so I had some problems with some of the wording that was in there. But when the revised one comes, I will review it and provide you with my feedback on that. So part of the last point is, or 2 points. The first one is that I understand that AECOM made some requests for direction during September and October. The extension was granted based on the lack of the municipality's response. And I just want to ensure that that was in fact the case, or whether or not they, I'd like to ensure that that AECOM's really has tried to secure direction during September and October, which caused the 2-month delay, because there's no documentation, or I'm not able to.
It didn't come in your Freedom of Information request?
No,
but
I was pretty specific in what I asked for my Freedom of Information request, so that wasn't there. The last point is that, some people say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Well, my contention is, in this infrastructure master plan in version C that I've read, there is no baby. That it's not a master plan, it's a list of projects. So at this point, if we were talking about version C, I would say please do not accept that. But I will review the next one and go forward. But I appreciate council's time, and these are the questions.
Are those your formal questions? Thanks. And email those as well to Peter.
Okay. And I need to keep
You need to keep something?
this stuff.
Oh.
This one you can keep.
Oh, I wouldn't mind
This one.
actually making a copy of this.
Okay, can you make copies of
Yeah,
that and
sure.
give them back to me?
That should be in the project file, in Nikki's project file, because I remember missing the meeting because I was in California when that was presented, but I saw it afterwards. Fred delivered me a copy, so I know that was the package.
Well, without me hunting it, I'd like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make a copy.
Okay.
Without me having to hunt it down from wherever, I'd just make a copy before
As
you.
long as,
The point is, I
can make a copy, and then she can just call me or email me, and I'll come back to it out, if that's okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
I have one quick question, can I ask Scott?
Yeah.
Scott, with the final memo you have attached here, the one from, to Nikki from Nancy Hill,
Yes.
do you have Nikki's response? Did she accept that Nancy's proposal was good and that it would work?
So that was discussed at council, and so that was in a council package. And my recollection of it was, and I'm not sure whether I attended the meeting or I just listened to the audio, but Mayor Burr asked for clarification about that. So in it, there's 4 headings, and it was a little bit indeterminate of what not included in the proposal means, because when the RFP came back to the IC and also came back to council, everything that was in the RFP was said to be included in what we were getting. But that document makes it look like they had excluded some things out of their RFP, and I don't think that that was the case. So it is a little bit of a concern to me. So I'm not sure whether I answered your question, but so whether Nikki accepted that, I believe that she did, because I haven't seen any other documentations that said that she didn't. But we, or Mayor Burr, tried to get more clarification on that. I may have at an IC meeting tried to get clarification on that, but it was a little bit difficult to.
I never had a response to that. Yeah, I mean, I will note that it's a little concerning to me that a lot of the material that you've included in your delegation package here was as a result of Freedom of Information request. It's the first time that I've seen it myself. And some of this stuff would have been quite useful to know during the discussions that I've been trying to initiate at this table since the non-delivery of the IMP on schedule in mid-October, which was the original deadline, to know some of the discussion that had been taking place between various AECOM people and us. I mean, I'm finding this out for the first time now, in early May. Now, I know that we leave a lot of the stuff to staff, and I can see that Nikki was being pretty assiduous in chasing them up, but I would have thought that it would have been prudent to seek official guidance from the decision makers a little bit before this, and we still haven't been asked for an opinion on what it is we want to do. So here we stand, Peter, now, 6+ months past the original deadline, with a product that, as I have made abundantly clear in public, I don't see as an infrastructure master plan whatsoever. Whether to say that whether it meets the terms of the RFP is a whole different question. I'm very concerned. So I'm glad, if nothing else, to see some of the work that went on behind the scenes that I wasn't even aware of. That perhaps I would have changed my suggestions and recommendations, none of which have been adopted by council, other than administratively, Ron and I, for example, suggested that Fred and I go and talk to chieftain to chieftain at AECOM, but we decided to wait until the delivery of the infrastructure master plan on Friday, which did occur, and I can tell you, without comparing the thing word to word to previous versions, I can't see any difference between what is version E and version D and version C, and never got C, B, or A. So it's a bigger subject that will have to be discussed. As it's a contractual thing, it will have to be discussed and closed, unfortunately, but I certainly thank you personally anyway, whether on behalf of the rest of the council, I don't know, for taking the trouble and having interest. Move on. Everybody good? Thanks, Scott. You can now go and drink heavily. If you want, that is. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of the previous package because it's messing me up here. Okay, next on the agenda is adoption of the minutes of the meeting of April 19th. That starts on page 23. Does anybody... I'll take a motion to adopt first in a second. I'll just take that for granted. Anybody got anything?
I had some changes on
Yep.
page 27 that I've given to Shauna already. It's to do with tree application number 67. The after moved in second, the second sentence should be that caution is advised in regard to the existing power line, and that the village's administration ensure there is no road infrastructure damage, and it continues.
Okay, good. Thanks, Shauna. You're jiggy with that. Good. That there be confirmation by the contractor of no active bird nests. Okay, I guess that's close enough. Okay, I had one thing, and that was under on page 25 near the bottom. We had an amendment carried, and then a main motion as amended carried. Mayor Burr opposed.
Mm-hmm.
Was I not opposed to the amendment?
You didn't indicate your opposition to the amendment. You only indicated your opposition to the main motion.
Is that how
as
it worked?
amended. Yeah.
Okay, but that sort of counts for the
I
same
went
thing.
and checked my notes. And
Okay, good. Okay, fine. Thanks. Okay, so that's just wanted to check that. And yeah, I didn't have anything else. Okay, last chance. Helen? Okay, all in favor of adoption and opposed? Carries. So we'll move on to business arising. Peter, do you want to do this, or do you want to move to a resolution IRR approach?
Or take a session off. Let's think it through for next time.
Yeah, maybe I can give it some thought as
Because,
to
you know,
how we transition.
Yeah, because, you know, none of these are new, or some of them are, but the rest are, they may or may not be off, but I suggest they're probably not off. It does sort of beg the question, how are we going to get these things taken care of? But I think we've got two competing systems now almost, right?
It'd be nice to have everything in one place.
Yeah, it would. So I'll move that we dispense with the action items and in future either resolve to do them there and then or append them to the IRR system. Does that work?
How about that staff come back with a plan as to dealing with action items as resolutions?
Yeah, fine. So I will just ask, seeing as this is on the agenda now, starting at the very end, staff to respond to Mr. Peterson. Did that happen?
You know, I think I haven't, because I think I only responded to the other lady,
Ingrid.
Ingrid. I think I forgot to respond to Mr.
Mhm.
Peterson.
Okay, well, the daffodils have now been cut down. So somewhat academic. So his plaintiff request was not acceded to, unless it was time to cut down the daffodils. I don't know, but as far as I know, they still need the bulbs need to be set. Okay, staff to respond to Mr. and Mrs. Minish, thanking them for the input, which considering staff review the encroachment application process. I don't. That's sort of sub judice. Councillor Waterston write something for the mayor's message in the village update regarding senior circle social funding receipt.
Completely forgot about that.
Okay, and do it for this one because I've got sort of about 3 things there, and the fourth one would be nice, balance things out. And the final one, CEO to bring a recommendation to council regarding Public Works Week options.
Yes, so barbecue here on Wednesday the 18th at noon.
Of May.
May.
Are we
Okay.
all
You won't
invited?
be here, but that's Public Works Week.
Yes.
That is, it's going to be in the week.
Yeah.
And who will be there?
Council's invited and Public Works and inside
So council and
staff.
staff?
Yep.
And residents?
Didn't
I'll-
canvass that with
Okay.
anyone. I wouldn't think so. It could,
Maybe not.
could get too big, and we
Yeah.
would have no way of knowing how many people would
Right.
show up or
Right.
how much food to
Mm-hmm.
prep. And I
Maybe
think
mix staff and
maybe we
council.
just council and staff and
Well, that's a bit of a bummer. The fact that I'm not going to be here. Because I would have liked to do that. Afternoon, lunchtime.
What time?
noon.
Noon, sorry.
Okay, good. And the rest are old. And so what I suggest, Peter, we need to do, and I don't think we'll go for a resolution on this, is move these out into the RR system. Some of them are, in fact, already there, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But I worry the RR system, we've never actually gone through all of it, so what if it gets lost in the back?
Well, we go through as much as we can. We devote with Mr. Draconian clock watcher there. He gives us about 20 minutes and we get through as many as we can. And we'll knock them off over
We'll
time.
knock them on. I think part of this, I think we all have to own our own little thing. It's been on here since March and you didn't write your resident that you said you were going to.
This one, I have to admit, I was thinking about lying about that one, but I decided not to. I looked at it this afternoon and said, oh, okay,
All right.
should I do the letter now? So
Thank
I-
you. You can leave the country then, fine. Okay, so I think if we're gonna put this kind of stuff on, we can really execute if we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I have done a lot on 8,
And
I
know
can tell you.
And everybody does a lot, I know.
I can tell you everything you want to know about bud cars and then some.
All right.
Okay, fine. So you know what to do there?
Which ones did we cross off on the last page?
We did not cross off any,
None, okay.
but we did cross off 10. So but Peter will amalgamate this with the IRR system
Okay.
appropriately. Is that correct, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do a resolution on that, shall we? So the motion is to consolidate the action items section of the agenda with the IRR tool and dispense with action items in the agenda going forward. Can I have a second? Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
You've got the veto power here, Helen.
Yeah, you have to say yes or no.
Yes.
I say yes. So you can say no, but it won't count.
And then we're gonna
I'm
repitch
gonna
it.
say no.
Okay. Councillor Waterson opposed. That's cool. Let's see how it works. If it doesn't work, we'll go back. Speaking of which, information request, page 35. Peter, how do you want to do this? Start at the back, start at the front?
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Oh, this is just a placeholder until we get the real one.
Well, it's just easier on the eyes.
Oh,
Here.
thank you, Peter.
You out of here? See ya.
Okay. So. Maybe we can start. Well, I'll just burn through from the top and see where we go. Number one, we've already talked about.
Just before you go there, Peter, can I just understand the preempted requests? They've been superseded or duplicated or whatever, right?
Yeah, they've either been done of our own accord, or they're moot, or they don't require a resolution to be done.
So it's up to council to just read through those and check that they agree that they're preempted or done or whatever.
Right.
So we're not going to go through those.
No.
Although when I went through them, I did find several that I would dispute were necessarily done.
Okay. All
But
right.
we're
Well,
not
we're not going to lose them. So.
Exactly. So that's the precise point. So that's good. Okay. So let's start.
So number one would be, that staff undertake this with the assistance of a planning consultant.
Yeah, just to re-emphasize, my question was, is there a decimal point error and can be fixed quickly? And the answer to that question was no.
Okay, so this can be taken off then.
Yeah, so the rest of it is, yes, we do need a suite. And that's taken care of by item number 24, which happens to be next.
Mm-hmm.
So, that one is definitely complete because you answered that question. Even if it was a typo, it still needs to go through the process.
Okay. So the planning consultant is already in the budget. The budget's about to be passed, presumably. And I'm looking for planners.
Great. Do you think we can get what we need for 20,000?
30.
30.
Is it 30? Oh, we should, yeah. Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay.
I think this should go. We're going to be chasing Peter in a couple of months all over for this one.
So now, could that not be taken off as well?
Well, it's not completed, but maybe
It's operational now. You're going to do the planning.
it doesn't.
I mean,
I could almost move this to the preemptives because it's
Yeah.
okay.
it's
Actually,
on
I'd
the, on the
like
work
that 'cause
plan.
I don't want it to be going. It's an important
Yeah,
piece for us. I think that,
Yeah.
preemptive.
I agree.
Okay. Building inspector is going to get back to me with respect to number 25.
Well,
just to get
interestingly enough,
current
when he did
numbers.
my inspection, he finally did my inspection, he gave me some numbers, but I can't remember what they were. I think it's useful for people to understand how effective the secondary suites bylaw is, and in fact, if we need to do something else. Up to and including, I would be looking for a recommendation to come out of this. Do we need to implement a snitch line? Maybe we should call it something slightly different, but relying on the honor system seems to me to not have borne much fruit from what I can detect.
So currently, if someone doesn't report their secondary suite, are there any penalties involved?
There's penalties, but you'll never know.
No, so there are penalties? Like,
Yeah, it's
but
right
there's
in
slap the
it's right in
fine?
the notice.
Yeah.
Just read in the assessment.
Well, you
So
certainly
you
have to
don't-
pay, and you may have to pay direct. I don't know
No,
what
no,
the,
no, so you have to pay for your secondary suite, but is there a penalty for not reporting your secondary suite? Like
in the
your-
fines and something bylaw, don't know.
So there's no,
Other than the fact that you're breaking a bylaw.
Yeah.
But that's all very well. The issue is not anything other. The only real interest I have in the Second Street's bylaw compliance is the safety aspect. That we have a whole bunch of potentially cowboy-built secondary suites out there that, in the event of something bad happening, like place catching fire, people may be in jeopardy, and then the village will be on the hook.
but the current system doesn't seem to be working, so maybe if there was a penalty, if you're caught, then,
Okay.
Well, it's alleged that it's not working.
well, the fact that there's not many people.
I mean, this is a key piece of information.
Well, exactly. So this is the start of understanding how well it's
Okay.
working. I guess the question should have been, how well is the secondary suites bylaw working? But be that all as it may. Okay, let's read the questions. I'll read them for you, and then people can respond. For the record, please advise if we have enough information to produce a final community centre renewal project report.
So I needed some clarification on that because we did do a full report last year. The only item that was outstanding was the fire alarm,
Yeah.
but we had that full amount in as the cost. It came in slightly under budget, so we've rebudgeted for the light ballast, but I wasn't sure if,
That was in or out.
I just wasn't sure what the purpose was. Did you want another full
I
report?
want to put it in the annual report, and I want the numbers to be final and nailed
Okay.
down.
So basically,
Why don't we have the CFO do that, is draw a paragraph in her part of the annual report?
That's fine. I don't care where it goes.
That way you can draw the 14, 15, and the,
Yeah,
and
there
for
was.
the annual, sorry, I apologize. I just, for the annual report, just a report or just a summary of what the total costs
A
were.
very specific paragraph,
Or-
or even a separate report,
Or
because
even a
it's
schedule just showing the costs. I mean, I think that would be more
Dedicated,
informative.
yeah.
So just put in annual report, info on total cost. of
and the
communities.
title will be something like "Final Report." There was some discussion about whether staff costs would be allocated. I know, for example, that Public Works was used to clean out the old storage. It took them about 2 weeks. They had to build a chute.
We didn't track those costs, so.
Well, I know why it was done,
Mhm.
but as a taxpayer and a representative of the taxpayer, I would like to know what this all cost, really cost. That took those guys away from doing whatever else they were supposed to be doing. Then I'd like to know about that. Should the light ballasts be included? I don't know. Probably not. That's a project that came up afterwards. Not much to do with the renewal, unless you feel different.
Yeah, no, it's part of the cost. I mean,
Okay.
we took it from, it's not gonna change the bottom line though, because we just took what we were under budget on the fire alarm and put it to the light ballast. So the total will be the same as what we reported in
That's fine.
December.
I mean, understand the political motivation for this issue. The whole renewal was a can of worms, and I want people to have a report that they can take to the bank and believe to say this is the final
Just
number.
what I'm saying, we did at a council meeting in December, we did do a final
Yeah.
report. So that was just what I wanted the clarity on that.
Okay, if that's what it is,
we
then that
have-
must go in the annual report then.
Okay.
Cool. Can we change the council procedures bylaw to allow consent agendas?
Well, we can. But question is whether council desires that, and what's the priority in doing it.
So I guess the issue is, do we want to move this one into a do-it resolution? As you remember how we did it last time, was we picked some that we gave an omnibus resolution on. Do we care enough? The idea would only be to save time. Frankly, when I look at our agendas the last year, I don't know what would be in a consent agenda there.
I was just going to say the same thing. There's not, these agendas compared to what I used to have in the regional district, which were, some of them be close to 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
And it made total sense to have consent agendas. But here, we've got a pretty manageable tabbed system, so I'm not
And we
sure.
have
I'm
to
not
talk
sure
about
that
all of
it's,
them.
yeah.
They'd
Yeah,
all be pulled.
I think you guys would probably be pulling them out of the consent section to talk about them all the time, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it's a great idea, but...
This was a recommendation that came from Nikki,
Quite a while ago.
yeah, long time ago.
I mean, I can just, it can sit on the back burner and can revisit it at some point, but I would request that it be pushed down the priority list for
Absolutely.
consideration.
Okay, we'll take it off the list for now.
Yeah,
The answer is yes, but we're not going to do it.
nuke it.
Nope.
Yeah.
Sounds- Take it off.
Okay, I think I already know the answer to the next one. I'd like to see a rolling schedule of council resolutions and the disposition, starting from the beginning of our term. You mentioned this earlier today.
Yeah, I'm going to start with more recent and we'll work our way back, I guess.
I mean, it should be pretty easy to do, right? Just cut and paste from the document management system.
Nothing's ever easy. You should know that.
Yes, I do know that. That was a stupid remark. Strike that. Okay. Can we get a staff report and recommendations regarding regulation of marijuana facilities in Lions Bay? The point is,
We
once we
can.
get the application, it will be too late. I guess what I'm really asking here is for a high-level recommendation on what do we do about this. Do we introduce business licenses? Do we have a bylaw on...
So in the summary report of my trip to Kelowna for the CAO conference, there's a section in there about this. I couldn't find it in time for this meeting, but the gist of it is that it seems that people are using the tack of business licenses is the best way to go about it. But that being said, it's not fail-safe, and there's still concerns regarding whether you're trying to legislate in an area over which you have no jurisdiction, and that's the tricky part. So there's differing legal opinions on it, but if you're going to do anything, that seems to be the way to go.
Okay, well, I think we would look for a very succinct one-page staff report on our options and a recommendation. As do we hope for the best? Do we try to regulate this? Do we accept it? I don't need to point out to you, Bowen Island's encouraging marijuana facilities.
It's clear that this is going forward, not backwards.
Yeah. So what is it that Lions
So
Bay
I
wants to
think-
do?
I mean, we've got some time to the Liberals within the next year actually do legalize it or in whatever form. So I think we're going to have to do it. So we need it tomorrow? Probably not, but soon.
Well, you see what Vancouver is doing. You know, they've gone from 152 dispensaries to 9 that meet the terms of the thing, and they're now issuing bylaw violation tickets to the other 152 minus 9, whatever the math is there. So somehow they have come to the conclusion that they want less, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, this is a future-proofing thing that we need to understand what our options are. So we'll leave it on there, but
So move it forward as best, as timely as possible.
although I'll just re-emphasize that by the time we get an application, if we even get an application, that we don't have a business license. Right now, anybody can open a business in Lions Bay, doing whatever they want. Horse meat rendering.
Sorry, what?
Anybody can open a business. Acme Horse Meat Rendering Inc.
Oh,
They could do that if they wanted.
not sure if they could. Actually, it could be provincial regulations preventing that.
Bad example.
Okay, bad example.
Point taken. So, okay.
Can we get a report summarizing BCAA's, that's BC Assessment Authority's 2016 assessments for Lions Bay?
Yes.
That would just be fascinating stuff. It should take pressing a few buttons on the login.
Nothing simple.
I'm going to put that in my list of...
We sort of envisioned something like that again. We're doing an additional financial section in the annual report, like the financial statements, and then additional supplemental. And I had seen that going in the supplemental section of the annual report. So in terms of due date, it wouldn't be
I'd like to see it beforehand just to get
Of course.
because where I'm going with this in terms it's to give people to understand the tax base. How widespread is it? Is it what Lions Bay wants? Do we have enough housing in the price points that we want? Do we have enough $450,000 houses to house our future fire department? Or do we not want? I want people to understand what it is that we have.
maybe property tax notice. I think the best way to get it out to the information out to the village.
Yeah, but that's very soon.
Yeah, it'll be sooner than the annual report. We could put it in both places.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I want these things in the annual report because that is the document of record.
And the
Of the
advantage
year.
of the annual report is, I feel that the property tax notice needs to be succinct, one page,
Yeah.
you know, bright colors, so people will read it and
And
there'll be a room.
I hate to tell you this, but people don't read it.
No, I know they don't.
I would say we'd be lucky if 1 in 10 read it. And I want
But
people to
it's
know.
still 50 people.
But I tell you what they do read is the Mayor's Desk piece. It's not because it's from me and my dulcet writing style. It's because that's supposed to be where the information comes from. Little do they know. That's why I'd like that information. So it's still coming.
And, sorry, if I could just get one more detail on that. The median is a bit of a struggle. We'll only be able to do it if we can get the information from them in Excel format, which we're not sure we can. To actually calculate the median, we would literally have to sort it by order, pick the middle one and say that's the median. So we can definitely do average. Median we may not be able to do. It will be dependent on,
Well, when I talked to
Getting
BCA 2 years ago, before I was sitting here, because I was just interested, they said your staff should be able to do that through the login. But that is how you'd have to do it if they didn't have a button that you could press.
yeah, and so far anything we've seen, we don't have the Excel format. So we're investigating, but I'm just saying definitely easy to do if we have Excel.
But
If
you
we don't
certainly
have
did the
Excel-
mail merge for the property tax bills, so we already know the assessments.
We know the assessments, but unless they're in Excel, they're in PDF format, and in a different format, we couldn't sort it. So unless you can sort them, you can't easily calculate the median.
Shauna will write you a macro that extracts the assessment from each of the PDF documents.
What will I do?
See, she said she'd do it. Maybe I'll help her, but certainly it can be done. Okay. Understand the reason here. It's
Oh, no, yes, I do. No, that was my only point, is that when I had looked at this, as the median might be challenging depending on the format in which we get the information, macros aside.
really what I think I'm actually looking for is a bar chart of 551 residential parcels and see what the distribution is. I doubt it's a bell curve. Is that enough?
That's enough.
Okay. We got up to
Maybe
35.
since
Actually, I
Mind
can go
if we just
another
do the
5
next-
minutes if we could do the next 5.
we
Okay.
do the next one, just because it's.
Okay, can we effect any
change?
changes to the tax bill layout and wording? I had sent in some requests. Some were grammatical, some were presentation. I can send it a fourth time if you like.
I'm hesitating because we actually sent it in for printing, I think, today. If you want to send them to me, and I'll see the back. We've actually put the wording in, and we've completely changed it. The homeowner grant. We received that from the ministry, and they're recommending we put.
Did you
that
see
on the
my
back, which we
request?
did. I did. It was a while ago.
Yes,
So
What did you
Can you
do?
plenty of time
can you
ahead.
easily resend it?
I'll just do
This
a
is
search on my
pretty-
email, sure.
I will diarize so that we catch.
For next year. Yeah.
Along when we do our
Well,
massive
it's
reporting.
worth, if you send it tonight, it's worth taking a look. I'm just not sure if we sent it in for the final. We're under a pretty tight deadline because we have to
I
get
know.
it printed and then.
That's why I provided it in October. But okay, I don't mind looking for it again, given, yeah, well, hopefully I'll remember. Okay. Business licenses for the village of Lions Bay. This may be part of the marijuana thing.
Yeah, so just.
So that's just ongoing?
Same item, just call it same, staff will move it forward.
So do you want to just leave it here, or do you want to move it into the we've got it and we're doing it type of thing? Because otherwise this thing becomes, you know,
Oh, it will move from this page to the resolutions page. It's a resolution that staff will go ahead and
that's true.
move it forward, so.
Can we make public the rainfall data that Public Works gathers? The reason I'm asking for this is actually vital, because we need to model rainfall with stream flow, which is, as you know, the IC's task. By the way, just while you're thinking of the answer to that question, highways is going to give us access to the weather data from that new station up at the top there, New Horseshoe Bay,
No?
and I have to send you the login data. You need a BCE ID account, which I actually do have, but it's a personal one, not a municipal one. This is vital for the IC to be able to model supply-demand curve.
So, I think our question from a staff perspective was if we can just add it to the notes on the weekly water graph.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, for when it does rain, stick it on there. I mean, ultimately, I would be looking for the SCADA system to log, consolidate, and email data to whoever needs it. specifically in this case to Tony Greville, who's for the rest of council's edification, the IC person who's going to be running the supply-demand analysis this season. Since Greg Garland, who did it last year, has now left the village. Without that, we have no basis on which to move between water conservation levels. So IC's on top of it, but we need to know rainfall data. Refurbish notice boards at all village gathering points. This is a public works service request, really.
So, oh, go
I
ahead.
apologize, we do have some money in the budget to
Yeah.
refurbish the notice
Yeah,
boards.
so we have. So that's true. So let's consider that done. It's not
So
going to happen.
how many are they?
4.
4-ish, yeah.
So there's the one here on Central.
Yeah, there's this little one here. There's one here on the other side of the river, that sort of alcove thing with a
Right.
40-year-old map of Lions Bay. Hand
Sammy
painted.
the seagull,
Yeah, with Sammy the Seagull.
down by the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's some mailboxes. I'm not sure, is there one over in Kelvin?
Well, I don't think so, and there should be.
We should build one.
That
at
should say,
Kelvin,
"Welcome to
one-
Lions Bay."
One at Brunswick too.
You got it.
So 6 is the number.
You know, they're nothing very sophisticated. In theory, they should be policed to a certain extent so that they don't end up advertising everybody's painting business. But let's at least get them. It just is a community thing.
Okay.
And finally, on this page, can we undertake an anti-encroachment campaign?
So my comment was, let's discuss what this should look like, resources to be devoted to it, timing and communication. So I'm reviewing what that should look like in terms of the encroachment issues. So
Yeah.
maybe when we come back to that, will be the time to discuss how we get the message out.
Yeah, it's more than just a message, obviously. Do we need one? And do we, in light of what we do have out of the IMP, which I think says a little bit about recovering some, fully encroached drainage aspects of the village. Let's get going on that. But we need a fully worked out plan before we go half-baked, half-cocked.
Wait, before we finish with this, what happened to the, because you helped me draft the IRR with regards to the volunteer policy? Where did that go?
Put it up to
You said you were gonna-
resolutions.
It's going to be a very high number. I know that I was up into the 100s already, and I don't see them on here.
Are you missing a page?
Maybe.
Have you submitted some new stuff in the last couple of weeks?
Maybe. 1 or 2.
You have?
Yeah.
I don't receive them.
Maybe they're still in draft. Could be. I mean, it could be I haven't pressed the button on them.
Yeah.
So do we make a resolution about them?
No,
Are there
we
any
haven't.
resolutions?
We haven't discussed it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Helen had some, and you even commented on how well written they were.
Because Peter wrote it.
Yeah. I did. I thought that was fairly self-awarded compliment, right?
You know what? I'm wondering if after writing that, I forgot to put it in. I'll have to double check whether we're missing. I don't know.
Okay, we'll start at the back next time.
Or no, it's okay to, because then we can get the early stuff off, right?
Yeah, it's early only because, as you notice, the date's all the same. Just because that's... I haven't actually gone through all my entire email database to ensure that I've got all my requests in. These were just the ones I remembered off the top of my head. Let the record record that I was laughing with Pam. Okay, so we're going to end that one there. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Any pet projects that you want to go on? I would say that at some point we need to go through the... No, I will leave it up to individual members of council to go through the supposedly put to bed ones to check that they agree that they're put to bed. There's one that I disagree with, and that's to do with KPIs, by the way. Just a heads up, but we'll talk about that another day. Whew. That's pretty hairy stuff in the municipal annals. Staff reports. Pam.
Yes. A report on the 2016 to 2025 year financial plan bylaw. It's coming to third reading when we come to bylaws.
Page.
And in the bylaws, but just prior to that, I've made a few minor tweaks to the numbers
Yes, could you-
prior to third reading.
you said so.
I
Can you
just
point those
wanted to, just to go over it. And the purpose of these changes, it was just changing the groupings of the numbers, and it came about during the year-end audit. On the financial statements, we have some of the accounts categorized a certain way, and then we've done it differently in the budget, and I've been trying to align them, and these were just the final ones I needed to align them. So essentially, if you go to page 44, you can see that under other grants and other, we have the DFA funding, and I put it under other revenue, but for financial statement purposes, and I agreed with the auditors, they felt we should put it under other grants. Because it is essentially a government grant. It may not be one that we applied for ahead of time. It's a grant we got for repairs to a disaster, but I felt that was the better category. So by doing this next year for 2016, when we compare the budget to the financial statements, the numbers, the categories will be the same, they'll be consistent. And the other one had to do with the early payment discount. For budget purposes, we have always shown it as a reduction from revenue, but per PSAB, it's really more accurate to consider it as an expense. You're choosing to offer an early payment discount, so you have your revenue hold, that this is how much the revenue should be, but we're allowing an early payment discount. And it just, again, for consistency, when you have it in financial, it's not a material number, but when you have it in the financial statements one way and in the budget another, so to make it consistent, I went with the PSAB, and for budgeting, we'll show it as an expense. It's
Will
a
you have to
small-
restate all prior years to do comparisons?
Well, I did restate 2015 and 14 on the financial statements. We don't have to restate the budget. This was purely for the financial
No,
statements.
no, I mean, but
Yeah.
uh,
Yes, you
But-
always
but
have
you've done
to-
it.
just for the comparative, yeah, and I've done that.
Okay.
Then I just thought, rather than having to restate every year, it made more sense to just, while I had
Sure.
the opportunity to
Yeah.
change the budget. So it's just minor changes, obviously has no impact on tax rate, on the bottom line. It was just to correct, to make consistent.
sorry, just do the yellow one again, Pam. So
Okay, the yellow one was, we had a DFA grant in the budget for the damage that was done
Yeah.
by the slide, and I had it in other revenue. But when we did the financial statements, last year's DFA revenue, the auditors requested it be shown as other grants. So to be consistent,
It's
I
about
just
100,000,
changed the
right?
budget. Yeah. In this year's budget, yeah, it's closer to about 130.
So we
now,
previously
130.
other was 187 and other grants was 322 in round
That's right.
numbers.
That's
Yeah,
right.
okay, got it.
Right.
Okay.
So it's purely just changing the groupings, and the purpose is we'll get the benefit of next year when we take these numbers, compare them to the 26 actual in the financial statements, and the groupings will be the same. We'll be comparing apples to apples.
Yeah.
So I just had wanted to highlight these changes prior to doing third reading, so you'll understand.
Good, and that's all that
And that was
was
it, just those minor
fine.
things.
And we're within our rights to do that between second and third? Yes, okay, good. Okay, thanks Pam. So I'll take a motion to receive the report. And a second, any further discussion? All in favour of receipt and opposed, that carries. Thank you, Pam.
And then I have an on-table report. This
Yes.
is the approval of the financial statements.
Thanks. Okay, so for the record, this was discussed in the Committee of the Whole, sorry, what do we call it now? Council Strategy Committee meeting this afternoon. And that committee recommended that council would, the Village of Lions Bay's 2015 audited financial statements as presented to council on May 3rd, 2016 be approved pursuant to the Community Charter Section 167, and that the 2015 audited financial statements be included in 2015 annual report pursuant to the Community Charter Section 98. May I have a motion on that recommendation? Thanks. And a second. Any discussion? Pam, anything you want to point out that we
Just
missed?
for information, as we had discussed in the meeting, I was going to have them approval at May 10th, but Bill Cox, the BDO auditor, during the meeting reminded me that once council approves the financial statements, there's additional audit work that needs to be done before they can sign and date the letter. So I would prefer to allow a little bit more time for that, because we have a statutory deadline of next Friday to submit approved financial statements to the ministry in the form of the LGDE form, so this allows us a bit more time. So basically, council approves them, I let BDO know, they do a couple more days of audit work, and then I will receive a signed letter, which is the final step for fully approved financial statements.
Very good, thanks. And for the record, the auditors were very complimentary on staff's effort to produce the statements that we see. So I think I'm very confident that we can approve them. So there's a motion and second on the table. Any further discussion? All in favour of approval of financials and opposed? That carries. Thank you, Pam. Well done again. Nothing from the Mayor. Council?
Just a bit of a heads up. The library had their reception a week and a half ago, on Sunday. Very small turnout. I would suggest, having spoken to the chairperson, that the landscape has not changed there. Dwindling patronage and volunteers who are becoming fatigued. So you may get another advice in a few more months that it's getting close to being over.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look to the community committee to come up with some recommendations there. I mean, that is, to me, that's core to the sort of the ethos of the village. Libraries have evolved. I don't see that library evolving. They still have Wilbur Smith novels in hard copy.
What's wrong with that?
Nobody wants them. We need to sort of bring.
I'd suggest a half an hour with the chairperson.
Yeah.
And I think there's more than I'm giving here that you should probably hear.
Fine. Yeah, I would be very loath to see the library fold. Very loath.
With regard to that, I'm meeting with Ita Phillips tomorrow, and I think that the Arts Council, if the library does fold, the Arts Council would like the venue.
Like the space.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. They've been looking for a space
Mhm.
What to do with?
to showcase
Yeah.
local
Yeah.
artists.
Well, it's,
Who would go?
it's probably they have enough. I mean, they're looking for a space. They would have rented the now real estate place, but that didn't go so well. They're looking for a place to showcase their
Also to act as
300 odd artists.
and for them to it would be a gallery where they would actually be able to sell their work. So we had a gallery for quite some time, and that did well.
It was a private business.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
let's
Okay,
let you
well,
do
these are
the,
all-
let's let you do the tea first.
Yeah.
With the chair.
Yeah, I mean, I tried very hard, but I couldn't make it on Sunday. Okay, anything else? Let me just think if there's anything from the IC. No. I know that the IC has now received the final, although, Peter, I note that the final report still has draft written across it on all pages. So, what's your...
The only thing that's missing is the
road condition?
road condition assessment, and basically I said, give us the report and bring that as an addendum instead of delaying it any further. So I said take that approach, but so in that sense it's not final because I guess the appendices and whatnot out of that will
Okay.
have something else. But
Will you be attending the meeting digitally, or
No.
So how would your input be?
I suppose, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I have to think about that. It will be very unchanged from my input from version C or D or whatever the version was that I commented on, which I think was C. To be honest, unless I compared page by page, I can't tell the difference. It looks very similar to me.
I have a track change
Do you?
version that's not track change all the way through, and kind of because it's a Word format, things didn't print off properly
Exactly,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. But
Did you do that, or did they do it
no,
for
they
us?
did that for me. So it is helpful to some extent in terms of noting what's been added.
So my
Actually-
anecdotal statement that it seems to me not much has changed, is that
Well,
complete?
there's some
Substantive?
substantive things that are in there that weren't there before. So
Okay.
I can provide
Yeah,
you
I'm
with
not
some-
going to do them the
some,
favor of going through every version that they choose to
right,
favor us
yeah,
with.
Of course.
So, I mean, my comments will stand, which they're fairly substantial. The real issue is a much wider sort of contractual one that we need to discuss. So, but good point. No, I won't, because I'll be 11 hours, 11 time zones different, and with no internet. So that'll
No
be-
internet.
Well, they're very unreliable.
Oh.
Internet's intermittent, so I can do email and documents and things.
It'll
But
be 6 a.m. Go to a coffee shop with internet.
6 a.m. It won't be 6 a.m. It'll be 3 a.m. I'm not even going to do the
You said
calculation.
11 hours.
I don't know what it is.
Well,
That's
11
11.
I think
zones.
it's fair to say most
That would
people
be
know what
an hour's
Crosby
time
is.
zone, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
It'll be 6 a.m.
But would it be minuted or recorded or, you know?
I could certainly submit it in writing. But that's a good point. I'll have to think that one through. Okay, so that was the committee part. No other committee reports. Emergency service report, page 49. We can whip through this one pretty quickly.
0.
Yeah, there was not much there. I see they managed to hand out 13 speeding tickets. I guess that was an hour's work,
I saw it happen.
if that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, speeding tickets is not going to slow traffic down through Lions Bay. So, motion to receive the RCM pre report and a second. Thanks. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. So we've got that. I guess we should do an omnibus. Some of the reports were verbal, some of them, they were all verbal. So let's have a motion to receive the mayor, council and committees on-table reports and a second. Thanks. And all in favour? Opposed? That carries. Resolutions. We need a resolution to... Oh no, that's a bylaw thing. Okay, so this was added at the last, at approval. A resolution to excuse Councillor Hughes from meeting attendance until...
Second meeting of June.
I think we must put a hard date.
Second meeting of June.
Through, let's say through June 2016. Okay?
Sorry, what were the dates?
Through June 2016. And the council procedures bylaw only requires regularly scheduled meetings, so special meetings don't count, committee meetings don't count, it's only regularly scheduled meetings of council, which there are only 3 of, I guess. Yeah.
May I ask, so when we have 4 councillors, what is the procedure when it comes to voting if it's a tie?
Fails.
Bummer.
Fails. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's got to be a majority. Okay, so that's the motion on the table. Can I have a second to that one? Thanks. Any discussion? All in favour of that motion? Seconded. Thanks. And opposed? That carries. Thanks. So you got that, Donna? Great. Thanks. Bylaws. It's before you. Pam has told us the minor change between second and third reading. So I will take a motion for third reading of the... I'm looking at the wrong one. Village of Lions Bay 2016 to 2025 year financial plan bylaw number 503 of 2016. Thank you, Ron. Can I have a second, please, Helen? That has to be you. Any discussion? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. And same again for the sewer parcel tax bylaw number 108 of 1992, amendment bylaw number 504 of 2016. Can I have a motion for third reading and a second and discussion? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. And finally, recommendation for third reading on the tax rates bylaw number 505 of 2016. May I have a motion and a second? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. And moving on to correspondence on page 65. Ron, can you do the honours?
Yes, and from the Honourable Shirley Bond, she reminds us it's National Tourism Week, May 29th to June the 4th.
No action?
No action.
I believe there was some sort of media package and stuff that we were supposed to react to, but
It's soft ask to build tourism, which I think we do through our free beaches and the 400 people we feed at Canada Day.
yeah.
Econ Board of Directors, complaints from the members of Mayor Walton is included on the board. No response. Invitation North Shore Congress. This is of note, May 31st. If there's interest in
Yeah, I go to these. They're kind of interesting. It's really just Lionsgate Hospital talking about their massive expansion plans, and then I always interject, there's more that Vancouver Coastal Health does than Lionsgate Hospital, including managing our water, and then they all say, oh, that's interesting.
Good,
But-
it's yours, thank you.
I think it behooves me to tell them that.
Last item, graduated licensing program for motorcycles, April 26th. This is from the Mayor of Kitimat. Sad and unfortunate story embedded within the letter. No response is necessary on this one.
Good, thanks. I'm just going to pull this out. Don't mind myself to do this. Thank you. We will move on to Parking Plan Committee presentation on table. Helen.
So we had actually presented the plan during the council strategy meeting. So what would be the next step for me to?
The recommendation that came from the Council Strategy Committee was to receive the plan, and for you as ex-chair of the committee to work with staff on which of its steps could be implemented within budget and time allowances. Was that it?
Forward with that.
So we'll take that as the motion. Can I have a second on that one? Thanks. Any further discussion? Okay, everybody clear what we're doing? Okay, all in favor?
Oh, sorry, before we move, what Peter had mentioned before, that we should communicate this out in some form, would this not be the time? Or do I wait until I present the programs?
Well, as chair of the committee, you're fully within your rights to send a note out.
Public document now.
Yeah,
Send the note out.
via the mayor's desk. So, I mean, anything you want me to
Yeah,
put out,
I put
or
it in for
you can get a
Friday
staff to
to-
announce it in the village update,
Yeah.
or
But no, I'm wondering, should we wait until the list of programs and we can say, okay, we're gonna do this, this, and this?
yes, I think so,
Okay.
because the report has only been received. It has not been
Okay.
accepted or adopted,
Okay,
and I believe both Ron and I would not support its adoption as it stands today.
okay, okay.
So out of it will come certain consensus recommendations for implementation. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So the recommendation, the resolution's been made and will stand as is. And public questions and comments. Ruth, I assume you were writing your name on the list.
Here I am.
There we go.
In theory, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I came again this evening just to hear the results from council strategy meeting from this afternoon, which was obviously my area of interest. This was the Parliament Committee presentation. And having invested a fair amount, a lot of time in this process, I am just here, just wanted to get clarity on where we sit right now. I know it was a very long process, went beyond your March 1st deadline, but given the time commitments of people that were on the committee, it took longer than I think we expected. So here we are beyond the due date, but the plan, I believe, as a committee member, met many of the objectives of the terms of reference. So I just want clarity if is the committee finished now, or are we done? Because I think I just heard that Councillor Watterson being referred to as the ex-chair, so is that the end of the committee?
By its terms of reference, yes, the committee delivered the report, its plan, and it is now done. I believe that Helen will be recommending an implementation committee be struck. I see that in the plan as presented, correct? And Helen will also be putting forward some of the recommendations that I saw at the back of the plan for implementation around parking pass design, daily pass books, signage, selected signage, according to what is referred to as type, but which is not defined in the plan, but which, as we know, having all three been on the committee, it defines what can and cannot take place in various areas of the village. Although that hasn't yet actually been adopted by anybody, so we don't actually know what the type signage looks like or anything. Presumably it can be somewhat drawn on from the uncontained material that was in the draft that's not in the final plan.
So even though officially we're disbanded, could I still get together with the group and consult with them as to which program they would like to put forward?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, but I think it says it in the plan.
Which is what?
Well,
We listed 13, and I think the agreement was we will come back with a hit list of top.
yeah, well, I mean, sure, how you want to decide what needs to be worked through with staff is up to you. I think it's fairly clear that there's not much that can be done in budget and on time. We still need a holistic parking plan that, for example, addresses this type issue. What's type? Because the plan doesn't say so. It just mentions the concept. I think it's in the definitions. But
So just I hope that my 2 minutes has been
go ahead.
suspended,
Yeah.
because I just like to further say that there were four members from the public, and thank Councillor Watson for steering us through what it is a really challenging topic, and we did look at the history of all of the recommendations that have come before councils for many years in the past. And whilst it may not be the holistic, detailed, prescriptive plan that might have been the strategy that council was looking for, I think it would be, I just have to say that I feel that personally that it would be a real waste of all of our energies if we weren't sort of respecting the recommendations that were in there, and that we could continue to have a productive back and forth with staff to figure out the best implementation. So, I mean, my only objective of being on this was to, having invested time in the past, was to hopefully that there be some common sense solutions put forward. And I have no personal concerns other than when I see free money coming to the to the village, that to me that makes sense. And so wherever we can maximize revenue, minimize staff time and costs, that to me was on my agenda. So other than that, I'm sort of feeling, I guess, having heard the sort of reaction to the plan today, a little bit disappointed, I have to say. And it would have been nice if the fellow committee members were here as well. But anyway, I'm willing to help. But from what I understand, the takeaway is that we're done unless we hear a request for further help.
Yeah, I mean, I speaking as a fellow member of the committee, I can only thank you for your input as well. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the basis for something that will need to go forward in terms of what the committee's ambit was, which was to produce a strategic parking plan.
I'm sorry, Mayor, but the wording of this terms of reference did not use the word strategic. It said
Okay, a parking plan.
Okay, and I think actually in future when we have, if members of the committee are given a terms of reference, that terms of reference really be clear between all.
I believe it was the chair of the committee that wanted to add the word strategic. In fact, I think we may even have done that in the subsequent rework of the terms of reference to change the delivery date. It's all water under the bridge because it was not delivered by the due date, and so we've come up with something that's the next best alternative. And it's received by council, and so now it's up to staff to work it through. See what can be implemented out of the recommendations that came out of this document that I'm holding in my hand. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to close the meeting under sections 91C and 92B. Can I have a motion? Seeing none, we're not going to close them. And a second? All in favor? Opposed? Carried? Okay, we are returning from closed session. It is 9:24. And one item to report out from the closed portion of the meeting, and that is that Council resolved to not take any action on the letter provided by Councillor Soprovich of West Vancouver to be sent to the Prime Minister regarding the LNG project in Howe Sound. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Meeting adjourned at 9:25.